We are packing and preparing to go across the country for our very first flight with twins next week. We are traveling for a family member's wedding, and then we will vacation for a few more days while we are already down there. There is just so much that I would like to accomplish before we go so that we can leave the house clean, tidy, and ready for our return. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Emma. I am a mom of 17-month-old identical twin boys, and I love to create order, beauty, purposeful spaces in our home with and through a Montessori lens. So that's a lot of what I share here on my channel. And today we are going to accomplish many things, and this video actually is clips from multiple days of getting ready to go. So, for a little context, we flew out from Minnesota on a Thursday morning, and we are going to be gone until the following Friday. And so there was just a lot of special outfits that we needed to pack. We were going to be packing for a new temperature, so it was very warm there, and we still are kind of in our winter clothes. So there was a lot of going through what would fit the boys in the next season of clothes that I needed to get ready. And it was also just our first long time that we would be away from home with our twins. One thing I did, and I wrote a blog post about this too, so I'll link it in the description box below, but we were going to be on a flight for 3 hours with the boys, and so I knew we'd need some activities and things to keep them busy, and so I put together these activity bags for them. So one activity bag was these water wow pages. You fill this paintbrush up with water, and then they can paint on the pictures, and it reveals all of the color. So it's a very easy, mess-free travel activity. Another was this lacing activity. I like it. The string is attached to the piece of wood, and they could lace the little worm through the holes on the fruit. I also brought some little books for them to look through. These were a nice size. I had a few little magnet boards and doodle boards for the boys as we went as well. I loved these little bags because everything fit really well and my activities wouldn't just get lost in the diaper bag. This was a really fun book called All Better, and it's an interactive book that you can place the stickers on the animals as they get hurt, and then they'll be all better, as well as this little felt activity. These were ones I just brought along with us. We didn't use them on the plane just because it had some little parts, but it was nice to have some books while we were there. I also got these portable DVD players. Now these were such a lifesaver while we were gone. While I don't like to do screen time with the boys very much, it was seeming like somewhat of a necessity, just as we would be traveling for many hours and some of our drives also were very long. And so I got these small portable DVD players and some Mr. Rogers, which is a show that the boys do like to watch every once in a while. It is a very non-stimulating show. It's a very old school show, and I just like the pace of it as well as what the content of the episodes are. Another project that I had to get done this week was cleaning out the fridge before we go. That's always something that feels so good to get done before leaving town, to just make sure that anything that needs to be eaten or used up or frozen before we go gets cleaned and give it a good wipe down. I gave some food to my mom and sisters that we wouldn't have time to eat before we left so that it wouldn't go bad, and it felt so good to get that fridge all cleaned for our return. I also wanted to just go through and make sure the whole house got a good vacuuming, cleaning, dusting. I did this earlier in the week, I think even on Tuesday, got all of the cleaning done, and that was just helpful to get some of those bigger cleaning projects done so that the last few days were just for kind of the final details of packing and those last minute things that always come up. As I was going through this week, it was really helpful to just keep a list of what I needed to pack on my phone. It's one thing traveling by yourself or with one other person, but when you're traveling with children too, you always just randomly think of little things you need, I just jot those things down as they came up. And then when we were kind of doing our final minute packing things, it was easy to make sure that I had all those thoughts in one place and didn't need to constantly hold those things in my mind and then have that feeling of, am I forgetting something? What am I forgetting? And I always have to remind myself that usually wherever we are going, there are stores that I could go and buy things if I forget, or the people that we are staying with will have the things that we need. And so I know it's always a little bit easier when we're there than I think it will be when I'm packing. I also got the bathrooms all cleaned before we left. These are just things that help me enjoy and relax when we are away. I know it's probably not necessary as my house will be sitting empty for the next week and a half, but these are the things that keep my mind at peace. And so it was really a goal of mine to just get these spaces clean, in order, and ready for our return so that when we come back, I could focus on unpacking our bags, doing more extra laundry, and just getting back into the routine of making food and caring for 2 babies in our space. I've talked about this before, but here you see me putting Q-tips in this little jar. I love containers and things that hold objects and give them a place, and I also like those to be beautiful, and it's my personal opinion that Q-tip boxes are not beautiful or lovely, and so I like to be able to just set these out and then make it very easy for me to access things that I use on a regular basis, like Q-tips. And so it just has made sense to have a specific spot designated for those in the bathroom. And I also really like the process of restocking and like refilling things. I remember that in the classroom, I would want to be the one to like sharpen the pencils and restock them, even though I had an assistant who could help me do those things. It just is a satisfying and enjoyable part that I like to do. So that's one of my favorite parts of cleaning the bathroom. It was time for my seedlings to go and have a little bit of a babysitter while we were away. My sister, who is a flower farmer, they offered to care for our seedlings, and so my mom took those over to her house for them to watch, and I'm so grateful for that. I waited until the twins went to sleep the night before we were to leave the next morning for me to do the final cleaning. I knew if I did it before that, it would just get dirty the next meal that I gave them. And so I did a good sweep through, even like moved the kitchen table to make sure I got all the crumbs that are always left behind. And then I went through and mopped the floors. Now, I don't know, I need to get better about doing our floors more often. It seems like no matter how often I do them, they get dirty again, and I'm sure that's just the nature of cleaning floors, but I'd like to get into a better routine of mopping my floors. I'm always surprised it doesn't take that long, but in my mind, sometimes it's like this big task to do, and so that's one thing I want to work on in the next couple of months, of making that part of my routine, just like I do wiping down the counters. It's just another surface in our home and a surface that gets a lot of use, just like our countertops and our bathrooms, and those are definitely areas I'm more routined in keeping up on, but the floors is, again, just something that I want to work on. So if you have any tips on your floor cleaning routine that keeps it simple and easy, drop those in the comments below. I'm curious to hear like other people's frequency and your routines on doing that so that it gets done. I got a few snacks ready for our flight. I just peeled some hard-boiled eggs and put them in a bag, which we actually ate along our travel the next day, which was great. One last kitchen task was to get my sourdough starter fed. I noticed that my jar needed to be cleaned quite badly. I don't do this very often, which you don't really need to, but it felt like a good time to get it done. So I just poured all the rest of my starter into my discard jar, cleaned the jar, and wanted to feed a little bit of my starter and just put it directly in the fridge. And this was a great idea because when I got home, it was slowly fermenting in the fridge for a week. And then I was able to just pull it right out of the fridge, set it on the counter, and within an hour it was back to room temperature, active, bubbly, and I was able to use it to bake bread that same day that we got home, which was just amazing. I didn't really know what would happen, if that would work or if I would have needed to feed it again, but it was active and ready to go. Thanks for joining me as I got ready for our trip. Come back next week to see the highlights from our family vacation down to Texas. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.